Oregon Trail. This game really brings me back. Oh look, a map of the United States. This is where pioneers would actually go on the Oregon Trail. What? What's this? Nicole has dysentery? Ah, gotta keep going. What? Ah, now Joe broke his arm. Are you joking? Give me a break. We're all about to die on this Oregon Trail. What? I died of dysentery? You gotta be kidding. I hate this stupid game. Stupid game. Oh, hello there. Just playing my favorite game from the 1980s called Oregon Trail. It was all about westward expansion and manifest destiny. That's what our next video is going to be about. So get ready. You're going to go from sea to shining sea. Oh, hi there. So, as I promised, we're going to be talking about something called westward expansion. What is westward expansion, and why did we have it? Alright, first off, what is it? Well, as the name implies, it's expansion. The west. Westward expansion. We went from the eastern seaboard, 13 original colonies, all the way to the Pacific, where we have modern-day California, Oregon, and Washington. So that's what it was. Now, why did we end up there? One of the biggest reasons we ended up there was this idea. This idea was called manifest destiny. This idea that we as Americans, we have the right, we have the privilege from God Himself. We have the superior culture, and it's our duty and our God-given providence to go from that Atlantic Ocean all the way to the other side, to the Pacific Ocean. And that was called manifest destiny. This isn't a legal term. It is a term coined by Robert O'Sullivan,
John.
reporter. So he said we should be able to overspread our land and our population throughout the continent. Basically, we wanted some elbow room. We needed more space. That's what he was saying. And so he comes up with this idea. Again, not in the Constitution, not a legal term, just an idea. But it's something we really believed in, and so we made it happen. There were some famous trails as we got into this westward expansion, and one of them was the Oregon Trail. That's the game that I was playing that was getting me so frustrated. If you want to play it on a modern-day emulator, it's pretty interesting how terrible we had it back then in the 80s when it came to video games. But basically it talked about, I kept dying of dysentery. So people would die of dysentery, wagon wheels would break, people would get sick and they would just have to bury their loved ones on the side of the road and just keep going. There was a lot of hardships, but people did it because they wanted a better life. And there was something called homesteading, where the government promised, we're going to give you land if you make it better. And in exchange, you get to keep the land. So a lot of people moved out there for a better life. You also had a Mormon trade. A lot of people were getting persecuted. These religious groups called Mormons. So they had their own trail to where we have today is called Utah. The other thing that happened was this thing called the Gold Rush. That happened in 1849. So in the California mountains, they found gold. And word got out, and so a lot of people flocked over to California. That was called the Gold Rush. And we're going to get into the different groups that came over. We're going to get into the 49ers. We're going to get into a lot of different things later on. But right now, just remember Western expansion, going from the 13 original colonies all the way to California. Remember Manifest Destiny, that term Robert O'Sullivan coined, that we should go from sea to shining sea. Remember the different trails, Oregon Trail, there's a Mormon Trail, but mostly that Oregon Trail. And we're going to have an assignment that you're going to upload about the Oregon Trail. And then also remember the gold rush was another reason why people moved to the west. And don't forget about that Transcontinental Railroad. That's also moving people and supplies to the west. Alright, so that'll wrap it up, and I'll see you on the next one. Welcome back. So we talked about the what and the why. What was westward expansion? Expanding west, sea to shining sea. Why? We had manifest destiny. We had religious persecution. We had homesteading. We had a gold rush, and people that wanted to have a better life. So let's get into the how. So how did we do it? If you recall, in 1776, we declare independence from Britain. We have a little war called the Revolution. We win, and in the Treaty of Paris, 1783, we get land from the Great Lakes down to Florida, from the Mississippi to the Atlantic. We have the Articles of Confederation that we replace with the Constitution. However, we do get the Northwest Ordinance, which was a plan, I'm waiting for you to fill in the blanks, to admit new states. Alright, moving on. After we get that big chunk of land in the east from the Treaty of Paris, Thomas Jefferson, our third president, he buys the Louisiana Purchase from France because Napoleon is fighting a war with Britain. He buys it very cheap, and once he purchases it, he sends Lewis and Clark on an expedition, and Sacagawea saves them in the end. Alright, moving forward to 1819, President Monroe. We have the Adams-Own East Treaty. As you know, we purchase Florida from Spain. So we're starting to fill in our map. In 1836, as you should know from 7th grade, Texas gets its independence from Mexico. And in 1845, Texas applies for statehood, and we annex them. In 1846, we get the Oregon Territory from England. England had it, but we said 54-40 fight. So pretty much that was last longitude, latitude. We said, Britain, give us that or we're going to fight you. They didn't want to lose again, so we got that Oregon Territory. 1848, we have a war with Mexico. This happened because Texas and Mexico have a border dispute. And this president named James K. Polk, who was a big believer in manifest destiny, decides, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send some troops to this disputed border region, and he starts a war with Mexico. Long story short, we win the war with Mexico, and we get the Mexican cession from the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. Later on, we purchase a little bit more from them. It's called the Gadsden Purchase, because we had the Rocky Mountains in the way of getting to the west, and we need to get our railroads out to the western part of the country, and so we purchased the Gadsden Purchase from Mexico. Alright, so that's a little crash course on how we got where we are. So now let me get back to playing this Oregon Trail that I love so much. I'm going to win this time. Dysentery again!